Thank you, Subcommittee Ranking Member Jayapal. I want to thank all of the witnesses who joined us today. And I want you to know that we stand in solidarity with all of those whose loved ones have been detained or disappeared over these last 9 months. On Friday, our communities in Franklin Park, Illinois, a community represented by Congressman Chuy Garcia and I, witnessed inevitable violence resulting in this president's administration's unconstitutional, unlawful, unaccountable actions. Near a school, after dropping off his child, ICE agents under the jurisdiction of the Department of Homeland Security shot Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. He died a few hours after.
Folks, I just watched a clip that will make your blood boil. Another so-called hearing in Congress where the left tries to paint ICE and DHS as villains while ignoring the law and the safety of American citizens. Before I dive into this, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family, because the mainstream media sure won't tell you the truth. We need to push back against the lies being spread about our law enforcement, and your support helps get the message out.
Silverio's death is not an isolated incident. It is a consequence of Trump's anti-immigrant agenda. ICE's pattern of racial profiling and their unlawful policing in our communities has real death consequences. The militarized tactics used by DHS and the deployment of ICE agents with no transparency, no oversight, undermine the rule of law, and we know this. It creates fear and chaos in our communities. People in Chicago right now are wondering, can I drop off my child to school today? Will I be shot by ICE in front of my child? No one should have to ask that question and make decisions based on, will my child see me get killed by ICE today? Men in masks conducting these jump-off traffic stops without badges, without body cameras, making arrests without valid warrants are tactics that put our community in harm's way. And DHS is not above the law. Let me say that again. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is not above the law. A traffic violation should never amount to a death sentence. And we have demanded a full and thorough investigation of what happened that day. They should immediately release body camera footage, if they have it, and warrants and relevant information on this case, because what ICE put out in their statement is not consistent with all of the footage we have seen of that day. So I have a couple questions in the 2 minutes that I have left. This question is for Ms. Gupta. We have seen an increased use of traffic stops, particularly these jump-out traffic stops in Chicago that put our communities at increased risk of incidents like what happened to Silverio. What authority does ICE have to conduct traffic stops? And what do families need to know if they're pulled over by ICE?
Yes, thank you, Congresswoman. So, unfortunately, related to the Supreme Court decision we saw this week, ICE has been given a green light to target people based on where they might be going, based on what they look like, and they are in our streets now trying to stop people. What we've seen around the country with traffic stops is that in some instances, these are ICE officers making stops. In other instances, it is ICE working with state or local police who make the traffic stop and then tag in ICE to come in and do the federal side of the enforcement. Now, in jurisdictions where there are 287G agreements, where there are formal collaboration between state and local police and DHS, local police themselves are authorized to make immigration arrests, to interrogate people during the course of routine traffic work. And in those instances, we are seeing many folks get arrested for immigration violations simply when they're pulled over for alleged speeding.
So following up on that, I want to ask a question to Mr. Lynch. We know that, you were talking a little bit about workforce and complementary workforce instead of competition, which we know intentionally designed to call it competition so that there's fear and hate of our immigrant neighbors. So we know that undocumented immigrants contribute more than $100 billion in taxes each year. I'll say it again for those in the back. $100 billion in taxes each year. But the chilling effect of the kind of enforcement activities that the Trump administration is using is harder to understand. So what do we know about the chaos and fear of mass disappearance? What do we know it will do to impact the economy? And will people file taxes if the IRS is now using that as a way to be able to detain and deport people?
So you're absolutely right. We know that undocumented immigrants now are paying roughly $100 billion a year in taxes, about two-thirds of that to the federal government. They pay into Social Security, into Medicare, and that improves the finances of the system because they're not eligible to receive those benefits. So it's a huge improvement to our finances there, which helps all American citizens. What's happening now with these raids, we're seeing not only that, for example, in agriculture, not only are they undocumented immigrants afraid, but obviously because of the things that have been described here, many authorized immigrants are as well, and people are not showing up for work. People are making decisions not to appear. And as an example, I have friends who are 30-year immigrants to the United States, applied for citizenship, got married, have 2 kids, and they simply now have moved outside of the country because they don't want their American-born children to suffer the indignity of being stopped and arrested, possibly simply because of the color of their skin and the fact that they speak Spanish. So it is a damaging effect very broadly, not just among unauthorized immigrants, among authorized immigrants as well. And of course, it affects everybody else in the economy. And
thank you, Mr.
government.
Lynch. My time's up. Thank you, Ranking Member.
So here's what went down. A Democrat lawmaker spent her time accusing ICE of racial profiling, unconstitutional actions, and even blamed President Trump for so-called militarized tactics. She brought up the tragic death of an individual during an ICE encounter in Illinois and used it to push the same tired narrative that enforcing immigration law is somehow evil. Let me be crystal clear. ICE is doing its job. Their mission is to enforce the law, protect our borders, and keep American families safe. If someone is here illegally, breaking our laws, or ignoring court orders, then yes, they will face consequences. That's not racial profiling, that's upholding the rule of law. The Congresswoman even claimed undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion in taxes. First off, let's not glorify illegal activity. Taxes or not, they are still here illegally, and that's the issue. America has a system. You follow it, you come legally, you become a citizen. Period. Millions of immigrants have done it the right way, and they should not be disrespected by comparing them to those who jump the line. And this fear-mongering about people being scared to drop their kids at school or go to work, that's not on ICE. That's on politicians who are spreading misinformation to sow chaos and division. Law-abiding immigrants, no matter their background, should have nothing to fear. What's really damaging to our economy and communities isn't ICE doing its job. It's open borders, illegal crossings, human trafficking, drugs pouring in, and politicians turning a blind eye to the problem. That's the truth they don't want to admit. At the end of the day, DHS and ICE are not above the law. But neither are people who cross into this country illegally. Law and order must apply to everyone, or it applies to no one. And as a patriot, I'll always stand with our officers on the front lines. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you stand with ICE and law enforcement? Or do you think these attacks from Congress are justified? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have that conversation. And again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unapologetic truth.